So externally oriented is bad. Internally oriented is brilliant, it's power, it's who you are. It means this is my expectation of myself. I expect me to become incredibly successful in creating this podcast because it's important to me. And if I fail, if I'm not reaching it, that's okay because I can deal with it internally. It's not because people told me you're a failure or you're bad. It's because I think I'm not reaching my potential. And then it kind of motivates you. It doesn't make you feel down. It doesn't make you feel beat up on yourself. It motivates you.
The number one question I get at my talks is, what do you do when the people closest to you don't support your growth? Because you're killing off the person they love.
Oh, man.
I mean, think about that. Like, you're changing who you are, and they're comfortable with who you are, and they feel that's their reality too, is caught up in who you are being. So when you decide to change, you're killing off their buddy or their whatever, and you're screwing up their reality because you fit into theirs.
Wow.
So the only place to actually discover your inherent worth that never changes, that's the thing that's, for most people, shocking. You can have all the money in the world or you can be broke. Like, your inherent value is never in flux. So again, it's about discerning between, am I looking at myself and life from the perspective of the absolute, or am I looking at it from the perspective of the relative? As long as we're in the relative, that to me is akin to hell, right? Versus the absolute is akin to heaven. The relative is the idea of time and space, where I'm trying to become someone, and what I have right now isn't it, but I'm getting there, right? In the illusion of this sort of idealized future.
Most people in the world are heavily distracted. They've got a slow brain, they're focused on consuming too much, and they're busy on the 80% of things that don't really matter, whereas you can speed up your brain, and you can focus on deep quality, and then you can train yourself to just do the few things that matter, which are gonna have high impact, high leverage for your future self. You're gonna be doing deep and important work on stuff that is gonna be developing mastery, that's gonna actually provide you tools, resources, assets that are gonna continuously change your life. Whereas again, most people, slow start, overconsumption, focused on busy, not productive.
Get more successful, and they think money is evil, and that people who focus on money have no morals, so you never get anywhere. And that's how I was for the majority of my life.
Yeah.
So giving myself permission to make money was the first step.
It's the ability to take whatever your goals and principles are and turn those into daily practices. So you see that great learners they're human sponges. They absorb information and then they filter out feedback that's not relevant to them. They love to embrace discomfort and put themselves in challenging situations. And they're willing to tolerate imperfections because mistakes are part of the path to growth.
Don't ask for feedback, ask for advice. What's the difference?
Well, when you ask for feedback, basically people will either applaud your best self, that's the cheerleaders, or they'll attack your worst self, and those are the critics. And neither of those things help you, right? You don't necessarily just want to know what you did right or what you did wrong, you want to know how you can improve. When you say, what's the one thing I can do better? People focus on the future, and then they actually become your coaches.
I want to get back to the idea of perfectionism, because in this day and age with social media, people that are so...
And then I heard this thing called the napkin theory. I can't remember who came up with it, but basically at the time I was struggling with, am I okay to chase after money? Like, is this bad? Am I a bad person for this? And imagine yourself in the middle. So you are standing in the middle, Cody, and around me is my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, let's say, on each of the four corners. And when you, Cody in the middle, pick up your napkin like this, in order of pursuing financial freedom, you lift up everybody else around you, right? Because you can't be what you can't see, and also because money trickles. You know, people talk about trickle-down economics. We could think about that one way or the other. But money, actually, when you have more of it around your family, you can hire your family members. You can build new businesses. You can create more wealth by spending it. And so they explained it as one of the best pursuits you can have is pursue it so you can pick everybody else up.
I mean, it's common sense that if you sat there with someone who's a multi-billionaire, or, you know, the chance of them being happy is a bit higher than someone who's really worrying where the next meal's coming from. Sure. It's blatantly obvious. So when people say money doesn't make you happy, that's true, but blimey, it goes a long way. So you know, the real world is we have to make money to just survive, and then it does give us the extra things. However, yeah, I mean, I've worked with the whole spectrum. So I've worked with people who are, you know, at one point I worked with down and outs years back, and who were struggling and just on the street. And you know, I'll work with anyone who comes to the door and say, let's work within what your life's offering you and what you can do, you know. But do I get people who are really rich and unhappy? Absolutely. You know, because again, the chimp may be happy with what they've got, but the human's looking for something much more meaningful. So if they're all chimp, then that person's probably going to always be happy. Some people stay in chimp mode. If they're someone who's much more human than they are chimp, then this achievement can disillusion them.
Yeah.
You know, and then they come to me and say, I just feel unfulfilled. I just feel life's empty. And it often is the case. They're in chimp mode and trying to get into human, and there's nothing there. And we have to look at what their values are. What are they doing it for? A bit like we said a minute ago with the medical student.
You probably have an idea right now, but without action, that idea is nothing. Multiple people will have the same idea, probably at the same time, but most people, when they have an idea, they won't action it. That idea will be overshadowed by fear, by laziness, by doubt, by uncertainty, and they simply won't do it. There are people who are less capable than you, less skills, less experience, but they are doing something that you want to do and are making a lot of money from it just because they went for it.